I'm Weston. I love talking about the Astros, and welcome to the third part of the grading series where I go through and grade every prominent Astro from 2021. Part 1 was on the infield and catchers, Part 2 was on the outfield and Yordan Alvarez at the DH position, and today we're going to get into the pitching side of it, starting with the starting rotation from 2021. Alright, let's kick the rotation off with Zack Greinke. So, 2021 Zack Greinke gave the Astros, especially the pitching, the starting rotation, a very good veteran presence. Greinke has been in this league for a very long time. He's won a Cy Young Award. He's been an All-Star many a times. Does Zack Greinke have more All-Star appearances than the rest of our starting rotation combined? I'm sure he does, because I think Lance is the only other one to make an All-Star appearance. Him and Odorizzi. So, he gave us a very good veteran presence who's been in the league a while. He also gave us a lot of innings, led the team in innings. I want to say he had 170-some. Downside is they were just very mediocre innings. Zack Greinke was an average pitcher in pretty much every sense of it. This season, 4.16 ERA, 4.71 FIP, which is not great. ERA plus of 103. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't grit your teeth bad or anything. He was just average. He was a perfectly okay pitcher. He was cromulent. He was fine. Now, if I were rating this off of personality, Greinke's near the top of the list. I've always had a very soft spot for Zack Greinke. I've loved his time here. His quotes are just chef's kiss. Game 7 in 2019 will always be immortal to me from Zack Greinke. And this is much more so about his entire career with the Astros than just this. But, Zack Greinke did more or less what he was promised to do with the Astros. He gave us a very solid pitcher, was on our team, and a big part of it in both times that we would win pennants in 19 and 21. So, he did what was promised back when we traded for him in 2019, and, hey, he had a nice little Astros tenure. But 2021 was certainly the declining time for him in his Astros tenure, and really just, you can see that age is catching up to Zack Greinke. His velocity has fallen greatly, and he's not the pitcher he once was. He's still a fine pitcher. Case in point, he got a pretty okay contract from the Kansas City Royals. People still want him. He's just no longer the ace he once was. But he did more or less his purpose for the Astros in 21. He soaked up innings, gave us a lot of starts, and gave us a nice veteran presence. So for 2021, I'm going to give Zack Greinke a 4.5 out of 10. Second pitcher on the ledger today, Lance McCullers Jr. To everyone's amazement, I'm going to sing the praises of Lance McCullers Jr. here for a minute. Go figure. Can you guys believe it? Yeah. Shocker. Man, he was fantastic in 2021. Following an extension that he received in spring training, 5 years, $85 million. People gave the Astros grief for that contract, and boy, did they seem stupid after this season. Lance gave the Astros the best season of his career, bar none. 3.16 ERA, a 3.52 FIP, the best hits per 9 and home runs per 9 in the American League this season, led in both of those categories. Had an expected ERA of 3.39, which was in the 78th percentile on Baseball Savant. Lance was fantastic. I mean, this was easily the best season of his career. He was snubbed for being an All-Star game. Second best qualified ERA in the American League, and I've already mentioned this a few times, but I believe it was the 5th start of his season, which was the COVID shot game where he pitched right after getting the vaccine and was sicker than a dog, according to everyone. He had to get IVs after the game. That would have brought his ERA down to 2.90. Granted, he would no longer have been a qualified starter, but I just want to keep throwing that out there because we were held back from a truly elite season because of illness, and it breaks my heart. But Lance was fantastic in 2021. Realistically, the only knock you can make against Lance McCullers Jr. is the walks, and they are an issue, but he knows they're an issue. He has stated many times, he's like, yeah, I know that I give up too many walks, and he is working to better that. So hopefully, if he can get the walks under control going into 2022, whoo, boy, we are in for something special once he gets healthy. But 2021, fantastic. If he was healthy the entire time of October, man, who knows what happens? We might, that series at least goes to 7. We can agree on that, right? The World Series goes 7 if he was healthy. Why did I say that? I just made myself sad. Anyway, for 2021, I'm going to give Lance a 9 out of 10. Third pitcher on the ledger, Luis Garcia. Very, very good rookie campaign from Luis Garcia. Finished Rookie of the Year runner-up to Randy Arozarena, which, yeah, that makes sense. Randy Arozarena was otherworldly as a rookie last year. He was great at the top of the rotation with Lance and Fromber once he got healthy. They were good. Now, nice thing about Luis Garcia is his FIP and ERA numbers are very, very close. So while his ERA was better than his FIP, he didn't overachieve by much. ERA was 3.48 and his FIP was 3.63, which is nothing to be concerned about. That's pretty solid. Solid strikeout rate, strikeouts per 9 of 9.7, so a little over inning per inning, or 1 per inning, which is, I like when it's above that. Overall, he was good. Looking at overall his statistics, he was good, but not great. And that's okay, because A, he's a rookie, and also, he is projecting to be probably the 4th or the 3rd starter in the rotation. And once you get to that point, you're not really looking for incredible aces. You're looking for solid pitchers who are going to have around that 3.3, 3.7 ERA, that area, that they're going to go out there every 5th day, and they're going to give you some quality starts. And I am very, very comfortable with Luis Garcia doing exactly that. Like, the rotation is going to be Verlander near the top of it once he comes back. Lance, once he gets healthy, is again going to be near the top of it. And the same with Fromber. So if Garcia is your 4th guy, he's an above-average pitcher. He's not getting lucky or anything. He is an above-average pitcher. He's going to be very solid for you, hopefully over a full 162, and near that 160, 150 inning area for Luis Garcia. I really expect him to lock down that middle to bottom part of the rotation, and I'm very excited to see year 2 of Luis Garcia. And, I mean, I don't personally project him to be like a Cy Young vote getter or an all-star, but who knows? Maybe he grows and absolutely dazzles us. I'm very excited to see what he does in year 2. But for 2021, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. He was very, very solid. Next up, Framber Valdez. A season in 2021 that started a little bit later than you would have liked due to a fractured thumb that happened in spring training. And coming off of a 2020 where he really saved the Astros rotation. Let's not kid ourselves. He was so crucial to that team. And 2021 happens. Again, shorter than you would have liked because of that injury, but it was the best season of his career as well. He would start 22 games in 2021, and among Astros pitchers with 20 games started, he led them all in ERA. 3.14. He was really, really good. FIP and expected ERA numbers were a little bit higher than you would like, but I'm going to defend him because, A, he's very much a contact pitcher. So, like, FIP is always going to be a little bit skewed with contact pitchers, same with expected ERA. Also, barrel percentage, which, at the end of the day, what you mainly care about is barrel percentage. If players aren't barreling your pitches, you're more or less set. And it was 81st percentile, so people are not squaring him up that well. They're getting a lot of contact off of him, but, you know, the Astros had the best defensive team in the American League, so you were kind of supposed to let players get contact and just let the defense mop it up for you. So I'm not really going to be upset with him from that. Also, with the FIP and expected ERA, I'd like to see it over a 30 to 35 game season for Fromber, because again, in 2020, I think you had because of the shortened season, like 12, 13 starts, and then this season, 22. I'd like to see him get a lot more starts and get, you know, quite a few innings instead of that, like, 60 that he had in 2020, and I believe he had 130 in 2021. And the innings are the only reason I'm going to give him a slightly lower rating than Lance, because, again, if he would have had that, like, 150-plus inning area, I would have put him right there with Lance. I would have given them both 9s. He didn't have that many. I think he had about 130 to 120-ish, so I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Still a spectacular season from Fromber, and I've said this a lot, and I'm going to continue to say this about pitchers. I'm very excited to see Fromber going into 2022 as another very solid arm in that rotation. All right, we had fun there for a little bit, talking about very fun pitchers, Lance, Luis Garcia, Fromber, and it's time to have some not fun. All right, Jake Odorizzi, still love the name. Man, I've said that he had a rough 2021, and I knew he did. But man, I didn't realize how rough it was. 2021 was bad. His percentile rankings were terrible. He had one that was above 50, and it was for walk percentage. However, everything else just blue as can be. Expected ERA in the 28th percentile, expected batting average on the 29th, expected slugging in the 24th. He was not good. And it sucks because, like, I think there is a good pitcher in Jake Odorizzi still that we can bring out. But, man, it was not brought out in 2021. What also sucks for Jake Odorizzi is it's not even a pitcher who was getting lucky and overachieving. His expected numbers were bad, and his practical numbers were also quite bad. And as a crappy little cherry on top, hitters were hitting above league average against Jake Odorizzi. And he had the worst expected ERA on the Astros by miles. Again, I still think the 2019 good Jake Odorizzi is in there, and I hope we can bring him out in 2022. But man, 2021 was not kind to Jake Odorizzi, and so he's going to get a 4 out of 10 from me. Our final pitcher that we're going to talk about in the rotation video is Jose Urquidy, and he had a season that started a little bit later, which is really a theme for the Astros pitching staff. And he only ended up pitching about 107 innings in 2021. That being said, when he pitched, he was pretty good. 3.62 ERA, 4.14 FIP, expected ERA of 3.98. Solid pitcher, right? A couple things about Urquidy on that note as well with the ERA, expected ERA, and FIP. I don't love using FIP as an argument against pitchers like Urquidy, Greinke, and Fromber because they pitch to contact mostly. And so, yeah, FIP is always going to be a little bit skewed because they're not strikeout guys. And, you know, we're relying on a good infield. We're relying on a good outfield. That's okay. So while expected ERA and his ERA in general were a little bit higher than you might like from a top-of-the-rotation guy, he's not a top-of-the-rotation guy. Urquidy was our 4th or 5th, or sometimes, depending if everyone else was healthy, maybe your 6th starter in the rotation. To have this guy, a 3.6 ERA, a 4 FIP, around a 4 expected ERA guy, as the bottom of the barrel, he's still giving you an opportunity to win the games he pitches in. Along with that, he also gave us, granted, 107 innings doesn't sound impressive, and I want to say he had 20 starts, but man, he went pretty deep into most of them. In 10 of his 20 starts, he went 6 innings or more. I'm qualifying 6 innings as a deep start nowadays because of how baseball just uses starting pitchers. That's very good. He was very efficient in his games. Urquidy does not like to walk batters, and he has said exactly that in many interviews where he's just like, I hate walking people. And you can tell, 58.2% of his pitches were in the strike zone. You want to take a guess at what that ranks among pitchers with 100 innings? First. He fills up the zone every time he pitches. And among pitchers with 100 innings pitched, he also was 6th in walk rate. He just doesn't like to walk people, and he likes to get contact. So again, I'm not going to be giving Urquidy like a super high rating because he was a fine pitcher. But with guys like Urquidy, with guys like Odorizzi, with guys like Greinke towards the end of the season, it's more dependent with how you feel for their season on what are you expecting out of them. If you wanted Urquidy to be an elite starting pitcher who had around a 3.1 to a 3.2 ERA, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. If you were hoping, like I was, that he was going to be a solid pitcher at the bottom of the rotation that would give you a good opportunity to win games, you'd be pretty happy. So giving Urquidy a 5.5 out of 10, which is what I'm going to give him, might sound low to some people, but this is really... he was everything I hoped he would be in 2021. He was a good pitcher at the bottom of the rotation and gave us chances to win. So, in closing, Zack Greinke got a 4.5, Lance got a 9 out of 10, Garcia got a 7 out of 10, Fromber got an 8 out of 10, Odorizzi got a 4 out of 10, sorry Jake, and Jose Urquidy got a 5.5 out of 10. So that's going to cap it for me for this video. Again, this is part 3. The relief bullpen video will be coming out in a few days from now, and that's the end of it, which is weird to say. I mean, 2 weeks, I'm recording this Thursday, I assume I'm probably going to upload this Thursday. 2 weeks from today, opening day, starting it on the West Coast, again, which is kind of sucky because those are late night games. And hey, look at that, it's a segue. I think I'm going to live stream the first game for opening night. I live streamed every game for the postseason last year, and I loved doing them. And I'd like to do them on occasion, like maybe once or twice a month for the season this year. And I've basically, since I ended the World Series stream, I was like, I am doing this for opening day. And so this is my more or less official announcement. Like, yeah, I'm going to live stream opening night. So hopefully you guys tune into that. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the relief video in a couple days from now. So until then, thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. And as always, go Astros.